I feel like there's one thing that really binds this entire channel together. Something that we all love, something we all need, and dare I say it, something that's required for us to live. Yeah, food. I love food. That's why I'm going to attempt to make some Monster Hunter themed dishes for the next couple of weeks, just as a way to spice things up on the channel. Then as we get closer to 2018 and Monster Hunter World, we can satisfy our gluttonous desires in a Monster Hunter themed meal. So for our first little meal, we are starting with dessert. I know, right? It doesn't make any sense. But we have a goal in mind for today, and that is this wonderful little Arzuros dessert. It's so freaking cute. But there's a problem. This is only served in the Capcom Cafe, and I don't read or speak Japanese very well, so it's not like I can just call them up on the telephone. Guess we gotta improvise, which is a little bit scary, and that also means our version of this little sweet treat is probably gonna look like it crawled out of a Mealinx's litter box. This is gonna be pretty interesting because a couple reasons. One, I don't know how to cook, and two, I'm generally just bad and clumsy at everything in the kitchen. Now, I did take a few shortcuts here and there throughout the recipe, and this is largely improvised because there's no recipe for me to follow. So let's try to determine exactly what we're looking at. Well, the obvious things first. There's apples for claws, there's Oreos for ears, there's berries for the eyes and nose, there's some whipped cream around the head, and it's kind of all I can make out. So here's what we'll do. We'll use a cake for the head. That should be pretty simple. Ice cream for the Arzuros muzzle, and crepes for the base. I'm not sure what that pink thing is, but I'm not super worried about it right now. I can go to the store and find something to just stick in there because I don't know what that is. I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be on an Arzuros. And if you guys decide to make this little monstrosity, I do have the written recipe and the ingredients that I used down in the description, so check that out if you're so inclined. So let's start from the bottom up, the base, the crepes that we're going to make from scratch. Now this is pretty simple, but it is hard to make just 2 crepes, so I hope you like leftovers. Let's start by whisking together a cup of flour, a cup of milk, an egg, and just a pinch of salt. Just mix this up real good, make sure it's not chunky or anything. And once that's done, butter up a preheated pan so our batter doesn't stick to it. Pour about a quarter of this batter into the pan, just kind of swirl it around, kind of like this. I mean, it's not too complicated. It'll start to congeal, I guess that's how you describe it. Let it cook for about 2 minutes or until the bottom side is starting to turn brown, and then flip it. You could use one of these things to lift it up and check to see if it's starting to brown. We need 2 crepes, so go ahead and make another one the exact same way. Now that's the easy part. The cake, though, it's a little bit more complicated. We don't want to make a whole cake for this, so we'll just do a quick mug cake, but with a bowl. Take 4 tablespoons of melted butter, add half a cup of flour, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons of milk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. To get that nice blue color, put a few drops or a waterfall of blue food coloring in. I don't really care. Mix all this stuff up real nice. Make sure it's nice and smooth for the most part. And if you're like me, you'll realize that you forgot to buy whipped cream at the store, so you have to run back to the store and buy it. Once it's all mixed up, make sure it's in a nice round bowl and stick it in the microwave for about 90 seconds. You don't want to overcook this, or Arzuros will end up more brain dead than it already is. So just keep it in the microwave until the cake pulls away from the sides and the top is pretty much dry. Also, I'm warning you now, this son of a bitch is hot, so let it sit once it's done. And we're nearly there. Once your bowl cake has cooled down a little bit, use a rubber spatula to gently plop it out and make sure it turned out all right. If it looks good enough, put it on the crepes. Now would be a good time to cut up your apple paws. Now this is kind of tricky, so just be careful not to cut yourself. I don't need that on my conscience right now. For the muzzle, I just have some generic branded vanilla ice cream. It would be better to find one that's a little more beige, maybe like a toffee flavor. That would be pretty good. But anything would probably work well enough. I used an ice cream scoop to ball up the ice cream into the shape I wanted, and I just kind of plopped it right there in front of the cake. And now the whipped cream. Fair warning, I'm very bad at putting down whipped cream. It would probably turn out better if you made your own and you piped it through a bag, but we ain't got time for that. I'm just gonna use this crappy store-bought cream that I got. So go around the circumference of the cake and then over the top, leading down to the muzzle. If you're like me, you'll royally screw this up and require some minor whipped cream surgery. I warned you that I was bad at this. The ears are actually a kind of pain to put on too. I had to really dig them in until they would stay in place. I used half a raspberry for each eye, and then I used a whole blackberry for the nose. Oh, and that pink thing. I'm assuming it's the tongue. I don't know. But I found this at the store. It's Laffy Taffy. I don't know why it's all sparkly on one side, so we're just going to use the other side, which is just plain pink. Now, I kind of really screwed up putting this Laffy Taffy inside the crepes, but oh well. I guess it kind of turned out okay in the end. And there we have it, I guess. Our own little monstrosity. I gotta say, this actually tastes pretty good, though. It's very, 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 very sweet. And the cake turned out pretty okay. The whipped cream and the ice cream are the perfect complements to the cake. I will say the one important thing that I didn't really think of during this whole video is that the size of the bowl and the amount of the ice cream are very, very important. I didn't have a properly sized bowl, so my Arzuros kind of looks a little bit flat. I also misplaced the eyes, so that might have something to do with it as well. I can't say it looks better than Capcom Cafe's version, but I bet it tastes just as good. I guess I'll have to order this when I go to Japan next April. Also, I know it looks kind of green from this footage, but it's a little more blue in actuality because I recorded this off of my phone, so it kind of sucks at white balancing. Anyway, let me know what you thought of this. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. Also, side note, I will be streaming the Monster Hunter World Beta almost all weekend, this weekend, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. This Saturday, what is that, December 9th? December 9th, 9 a.m. It's a Saturday, so please feel free to stop by, maybe join me in a few hunts. Shout out to all those cool folks over at Patreon and the Twitch subscribers. Appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace.